The chamber of the Galactic Council had never been silent before. Now, every delegate's voice was gone, strangled by disbelief. Velsatha's tendrils twitched over the holographic display as he stared at the impossible signal. The frequency tag was ancient, primitive, human. "Run the scan again," he hissed. "That code was terminated 2 cycles ago." "Already verified, Chancellor," replied the synthetic envoy of the Artari. Its photonic eyes pulsed blue. "It originates from a Terran vessel, designation Resolute Dawn. It's in orbit." Gasps rippled through the assembly. The words felt obscene. No human craft had clearance within 10 light-years of Avarice Prime. "Impossible," muttered Ambassador Thray of the Veilkin. "Their world is quarantined. Their jump drives dismantled. They can't reach us." Velsoth leaned closer, his pale carapace gleaming under council light. "And yet—" A sound filled the room. Thud. 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 It was slow. Heavy. Metallic. And it wasn't coming from the speakers, it was coming from outside the station. All at once, the chamber guards drew weapons. Sirens wailed as the orbital sensors registered physical impact vibrations on the outer hull. "External pressure confirmed," said the Artarianva, its voice flattening. "Something is knocking." Velsatha's mandibles clicked. "No. No ship could breach the field?" "I know," interrupted a new voice, smooth and distinctly human, carried across the comm net. The holographic feed flickered. A woman's face appeared, pale against the black background of a Terran command bridge. Her expression was calm, almost kind. "Commander Arya Kessler," she said. "United Terran Fleet. I believe you've misplaced your invitation policy." Murmurs exploded through the council. Velsoth stood. "You have violated the Galactic Accord. Your presence here is illegal. Turn back or face extermination." Arya didn't blink. "Respectfully, Chancellor. You locked the doors. We learned to build our own keys." She turned her head, giving an unseen order. From orbit, the Resolute Dawn pivoted silently, aligning its broadside toward the spire's shimmering energy field. Its hull markings glowed with Terran sigils, crude yet strangely elegant. "Deactivate your weaponry!" shouted the Veilkin ambassador. Arya smiled faintly. "If I wanted to fire, you'd already know." For the first time in living memory, the chamber's defensive drones held position, uncertain. The humans had built something the Council didn't understand, and that terrified them. Velsoth forced authority into his tone. "State your purpose, human, before we erase your ship from orbit." "You won't," Arya replied. Her voice softened, almost pitying. "Because you received our message. The one you've been pretending not to read." A silence thicker than space followed. Then she said quietly, "Permission to enter, Council. Or shall I keep knocking?" The thud returned, 3 times, deep and resonant. Somewhere beyond the window, alien guards saw the impossible, a Terran warship resting just outside the spire's shield, its forward bow pulsing like a heartbeat. And with every pulse, the energy field trembled. Velsoth looked into her eyes on the hologram and, for the first time in 2 centuries of rule, felt something colder than fear, recognition. Humans were back. And this time, they hadn't come to ask. The council chamber was not built for humans. The chairs were shaped for scaled backs, coiled tails, and creatures without lungs. Yet when Commander Arya Kessler stepped into the Hall of Concord, she walked as if the place had been designed for her. The air was thick with ozone and fury. 43 representatives of 43 star systems watched her approach the central podium, their holographic insignias glowing like angry halos. Her boots echoed sharply across the obsidian floor, click, 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 each step a statement. No guard stopped her. Not because they respected her rank, but because none dared move first. At the far end, High Chancellor Velsoth sat high upon the ascendant seat, his carapace glinting like burnished stone. His voice rasped through the comm grid. "Commander Kessler, you stand accused of violating galactic quarantine, breaching sovereign space, and activating forbidden stealth drives. Speak, before this chamber votes to vaporize your vessel. Arya didn't flinch. She looked straight into his alien eyes, multifaceted and gleaming, and said evenly, I'm not here to ask for permission. I'm here to remind you what fear looks like when it's misplaced. Gasps. Hisses. A low clicking chorus of outrage filled the chamber. The Chancellor's tone hardened. You will show respect before this council. Oh, I am, she said softly. By giving you the truth before the rest of the galaxy finds out on its own. She gestured to the data sphere hovering beside her. The hologram flared alive, displaying a spiral map of the galactic rim. Stars flickered, then went dark one by one. This is what you didn't see beyond your fortified borders. Outer systems collapsing, communications lost, mining colonies gone dark. You thought humanity was your greatest threat? She tapped the console. The projection zoomed in. We were the first to detect what's consuming them. Velsoth narrowed his eyes. Fabrications. Then explain this, Arya said. She keyed another command. The chamber dimmed. A new image appeared, a black horizon rippling through the void, swallowing light itself. Around it, dead fleets drifted like dust. This anomaly doesn't bend gravity. It erases it, Arya continued. Your oldest satellites call it void decay. We call it what it is, a predator. A long silence followed. Even the ambient hum of the spire felt distant, frightened. Then the insecto-delegate of the CH-Rax clicked its mandibles. And what do you expect of us, human? To trust the word of your kind after your wars? Your weapon tests? You tamper with death itself. Arya smiled, thin, cold, and human. You're right. We did. And we learned to aim it somewhere useful. The council erupted again. Voices overlapping, some outraged, some terrified. A few curious. Arya let them argue for a full minute before speaking again, calm as ice. You locked Earth out because you feared what we might do with our power. You never asked what we built it for. Velsotha's voice cut through the chaos. We locked you out because every empire that's tried to save the galaxy ends up burning it. You are too young, too reckless. And too human? Arya finished for him. Her gaze didn't waver. Let me tell you something, Chancellor. Reckless doesn't mean unprepared. She activated another hologram, an orbital ring, metallic and vast, encircling Earth like a halo. Inside it burned a rotating core of white-blue energy. Project Ironveil, she said. A planetary defense network that can shield entire systems from gravitational collapse. We offered the schematics 10 years ago. Your council rejected them. Velsoth leaned forward. Because such technology violates the Accord. You risk destabilizing. The Accord? She interrupted sharply. You mean the one that lets the oldest species keep all the weapons while the rest of us die politely? The words hit like gunfire. Every translator system paused mid-translation. Arya stepped closer to the central table. We didn't come here to conquer. We came here because something worse than us is coming. And your rules won't save you. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the counselors began whispering among themselves. The reptilian envoy from the Hate Confederacy leaned toward his neighbor. She speaks truth, he murmured in his native tongue, unaware that Arya understood. Our outer colonies report the same anomalies. Velsoth slammed his clawed hand on the console. Enough! Humanity will not manipulate this council with fear. Arya looked up at him and said quietly, No manipulation, Chancellor. Just a knock. He froze. First we knocked on your doors, she continued, her tone low and dangerous. Next time, it won't be us doing the knocking. The holograms blinked out. The chamber lights brightened. Arya's image stood stark against the gleaming black floor, a single human surrounded by a circle of terrified gods. Velsoth tried to regain control. Your insolence will cost your world dearly. Arya inclined her head, almost respectfully. Maybe. But if I'm right, your world won't exist long enough to punish mine. That silenced him. A moment later, the chamber doors opened with a hiss. 2 council guards stepped in, Weapons lowered, not pointed at her, but at the floor. One of them bowed its head slightly. "Commander Kessler," it said, voice trembling through its translator. "High Counselor Dreen of the Kothari requests a private meeting." Arya smiled faintly. "Good. Someone still remembers how to talk before they panic." She turned to leave, but paused at the threshold and glanced back at Velsoth. "You built this place to decide the fate of others," she said. "But for the first time, the universe is deciding yours. Humanity isn't here to beg for entry. We're here to warn you, before the knocking stops." The doors sealed behind her, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Velsoth sat motionless for several seconds, his claws digging shallow grooves into the armrest. Finally, he whispered to no one in particular. "She thinks she understands fear." He looked out the window, where the shadow of the resolute dawn loomed just beyond the shield, unmoving. "But she hasn't seen what's coming." The private chambers of Counselor Dreen were dimly lit, walls alive with bioluminescent veins that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. When Arya entered, the alien's translucent form shimmered like glass in candlelight. Dreen rose from her perch, her voice a soft resonance of many tones. "You walk into the lion's den and call it diplomacy, Commander Kessler. Either you are very brave, or very desperate." Arya gave a faint smile. "A bit of both. Depends which one gets results faster." Dreen gestured for her to sit. "Velsoth wants you dead. Half the council agrees with him. The other half thinks killing you would confirm everything you've said." "That's politics," Arya replied. "We're used to it." Dreen's gaze flickered. "You humans have always made me curious. So fragile, yet so intent on standing upright in storms that should break you. Tell me, why come here? The galaxy left you behind. You could have survived quietly." Arya's expression hardened. "Because surviving quietly is how civilizations die loudly." The Kothari leaned forward. "You believe this predator you spoke of will reach the core?" "I don't believe it," Arya said. "I've seen what's left behind." She placed a small projection disc on the table. It flared to life, images from deep space probes, vast scars cut through nebulae, stars gutted, entire systems erased from the star maps. "Every border race ignored it until it was too late," Arya said. "Then they blamed us when our scanners picked up the first pulse." "You thought Earth built Ironveil to conquer?" "No. We built it because no one else would prepare." Dreen's tendrils shifted uneasily. "Velsoth fears your kind because you adapt too quickly. Every war that should have destroyed you made you more dangerous." "Maybe," Arya admitted. "But that's why you need us. You've built a council that worships stability. You forgot how to evolve." Dreen's eyes dimmed slightly. "And you think humanity should lead?" "No," Arya said simply. "We're not leaders. We're the species that runs into burning buildings while everyone else watches from orbit." Dreen laughed softly, a strange musical sound. "Then perhaps you are exactly what we need, and what we fear most." Before Arya could answer, the chamber lights flared red. A mechanical voice crackled overhead. "Emergency alert, unauthorized transmission detected. Origin, Council Communication Core." Dreen's expression darkened. "Velsoth moves faster than expected." "Meaning?" Arya asked. "He's broadcasting a declaration," Dreen hissed, pulling up the feed. "He's accusing you of unleashing the Void Predator yourself, that humanity summoned it as a weapon." Arya froze. "He's turning fear into fuel." The broadcast played on the walls. Velsotha's image loomed over the council plaza, his voice heavy with authority. "The humans come bearing false warnings and hidden blades. They speak of monsters from beyond, but they are the monsters. Project Ironveil is their device of annihilation, not defense. They will bring extinction, not salvation." Arya's hands tightened into fists. "He's cutting off every chance for alliance." Dreen's voice dropped to a whisper. "You need to counter him, publicly. If you don't, the Council will vote for your execution before the next orbital rotation." Arya stood, her eyes cold. "Then I'll give them something better to talk about." Minutes later, the great atrium of the council spire filled with life. Delegates and drones crowded before the central hollow dais as the emergency summons was overridden, hijacked. The image of Velsoth flickered, then vanished, replaced by Arya Kessler's steady gaze. "Counselors," she began, her voice amplified through every comm line. "You wanted transparency. Let's have it." The feed split into two visuals, one showing the Council's official logs, the other, classified human records. She exposed their secret votes, their attempts to erase Earth from star charts, their redacted communications about the anomaly. "You hid the truth," she said, voice unwavering. "You knew something was coming. You just hoped humanity would be the first to die from it." Velsotha's voice thundered from the chamber's upper tier. "Enough! Guards! Stand down," Arya ordered sharply. "You might want to see this first." The projection shifted to live telemetry, recorded mere hours ago. A fleet of Kothari patrol ships had been sent to investigate the dark zone beyond the rim. Their visuals streamed across the dais. A void, no light, no mass, just absence. Then movement. Tendrils of darkness reaching out, not in space, but through it. Ships disintegrated silently. No explosion. Just deletion. The crowd fell still. Even Velsoth froze mid-command. Arya looked up toward him. "That's what's coming. That's what Ironveil was built to stop. You can kill me. You can destroy my ship. But you can't stop that thing without us." A tremor of realization rippled through the hall. Some delegates turned toward Velsoth, questioning. Others whispered frantically. Fear was shifting shape, losing focus. Velsoth stood tall, struggling to reclaim control. "You expect us to trust you after you threaten our sovereignty? Humans thrive in chaos. Because we have to." Arya cut in, stepping forward, her voice like thunder. "You sit in your thrones of fear and call it peace. But peace without risk isn't peace, it's paralysis. You fear humanity because we remind you that the universe doesn't wait for permission." The chamber erupted again, but this time, the fear was no longer one-sided. Dreen watched from the shadows, her expression unreadable. When the noise reached its peak, she whispered softly to herself. "Fear is a fragile throne indeed." And then, beneath the council spire, deep in the sensor vaults, a new alert sounded. Unidentified gravitational anomaly detected. Distance, 0.23 light-years. Direction inbound. High above, through the transparent dome of the spire, space itself seemed to tremble. Arya turned slowly toward the window, and for a fleeting second, the stars flickered, as if something vast had brushed against the edge of reality. Velsoth stared in silent horror. What is that?" Arya's voice was barely a whisper. "The reason we started knocking." For centuries, the Galactic Council spire had floated as a symbol of stability, its gleaming walls untouched by war or fear. Now, those same walls trembled under the weight of something the universe had no word for. The holographic dome above the council chamber flared with distortion, stars bending, light bleeding into darkness. The sensors screamed warnings in 50 languages. Green's voice cut through the chaos. "The anomaly has crossed the defensive perimeter. It's not drifting, it's hunting." Velsotha's eyes gleamed in panic as he turned toward Arya. "What have you brought upon us, human?" Arya stood at the center of the storm, her expression composed but her jaw tight. "I told you, Chancellor. This isn't ours. You just ignored the signs until it was on your doorstep." Across the chamber, diplomats shouted over each other, some demanding evacuation, others calling for immediate retaliation. The station's energy field pulsed, flickering like a heartbeat on the edge of failure. Dreen gripped the railing. "Your ship, the Resolute Dawn, can it stop this thing?" Arya hesitated. "If it can't, nothing will." Velsoth slammed his claws against the control panel. "Explain, human! What is this Ironveil you keep threatening us with?" Arya exhaled slowly, then turned to the Council's central holoprojector. "You want transparency? Fine." She keyed a sequence into her wrist console. The chamber lights dimmed, replaced by the image of a colossal orbital ring surrounding Earth. Project Ironveil, she began, voice steady but heavy with urgency, was built after our first encounter with the void phenomenon. It's not a weapon, it's a barrier. A field generator that bends space-time to create pockets of isolated reality. Nothing in, nothing out. Dreen frowned. You mean you trapped it? Arya nodded grimly. For a while. Until it adapted. The chamber erupted. Velsoth rose to his full height, towering over the assembly. You unleashed it! He roared. You played gods with the abyss! Arya's voice cracked for the first time, not with fear, but frustration. We didn't unleash it, Chancellor, we found it. Lurking between gravitational seams, feeding on collapsed matter. The first Ironveil test was containment. It failed because the void learned what we were. Silence rippled through the chamber. The delegates looked around, as though the shadows themselves might answer. Then, as if on cue, the spires shook. Not from impact, but from sound. A low vibration, deeper than thunder, rolled through the hall. The air tasted metallic, sharp. Dreen whispered. It's calling. On the main display, the anomaly appeared, no longer distant. A black wave curling through the void, erasing starlight as it came. Every sensor reading was chaos, negative mass, infinite temperature, gravity fluctuations beyond measure. Arya's communicator crackled. Commander, this is the Resolute Dawn. The field's integrity is failing. It's not just approaching, it's locking on to our signal. Understood, Arya replied. Initiate Ironveil Sequence 3. Target coordinates, station perimeter. Velsotha's head snapped toward her. You're bringing that weapon here? Arya met his glare coldly. If I don't, none of us live to argue. The chamber dissolved into chaos. Security drones scrambled as emergency lights turned crimson. Outside, the Resolute Dawn ignited, energy surging along its hull, blue-white arcs tearing through the void. Counselors rushed to escape pods. The spire's defense cannons spun to life, firing bursts of plasma into the black horizon. But every shot disappeared, swallowed by nothingness. Dreen stayed beside Arya. What happens when your Ironveil activates? Arya checked the timer on her wrist. 2 minutes and 15 seconds. It'll form a reality bubble, a shield that seals this sector off from the void's influence. And if it fails? Then we all get to meet whatever gods still listen. The Kothari tilted her head. You humans really do find humor in despair. Not humor, Arya said softly. Habit. In orbit, the Resolute Dawn began to hum, a frequency so deep it rattled the bones of every living thing in the spire. The ship's core flared with light brighter than the nearby sun. Velsoth watched from the observation deck, transfixed by terror and awe. What kind of creatures build something that can tear open space itself? Arya's voice came through the calm, low and sharp. The kind you locked out when they tried to warn you. Then came the light. The Resolute Dawn unleashed a wave of shimmering distortion, space folded inward, curling like a flower in reverse. The spire's sensors flatlined. The view outside vanished into blinding white. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then everything stopped. The shaking ceased. The lights stabilized. The void, the thing, was gone. Dreen exhaled shakily. Did it work? Arya lowered her wrist display. The readings showed an intact Ironveil field, pulsing steadily. For now, she said. Velsoth turned toward her, trembling with rage and disbelief. You've trapped us in a cage of your making. Arya faced him squarely. No, Chancellor. I just locked the door from the inside, because something's knocking harder than we can handle. A moment later, her calm crackled again. The Resolute Dawn's captain sounded strained. Commander, you need to see this. The Ironveil's outer layer, something's pressing against it. It's trying to get through. Arya's eyes narrowed. Visual feed. The chamber screens flickered, revealing the outer edge of the shimmering barrier. And there, just beyond it, something moved. Not one shape, but many. Twisting. Listening. Learning. Velsatha's voice broke. There's more than one? Hundreds, Arya said softly. Maybe thousands. The first one wasn't a monster, it was a scout. The council chamber fell utterly silent. Every species, every being that once ruled from fear, now trembled in collective awe. Dreen whispered. What do we do? Arya stared at the writhing darkness beyond the barrier. What humanity's always done, she said. We adapt. We fight. And we keep knocking until the universe listens. The screen dimmed as the void pressed closer, like fingers on glass. Arya turned to Velsath one last time. You wanted to know what we brought upon you. It wasn't this. She looked toward the stars, hidden now behind the Ironveil's glow. It was the only species in the galaxy stubborn enough to stand between you and it. The Ironveil field pulsed across the heavens like a second sun, an artificial sky burning above a world that no longer trusted the dark. From orbit, it looked serene. From inside, it was a cage forged of fear and light. Commander Ironveil hadn't slept in 3 days. The Resolute Dawn's command deck was lit only by the flicker of sensor holograms, each one filled with impossible readings. The void wasn't retreating. It was adapting. Dreen entered quietly, holding a tray of nutrient packs that smelled faintly of citrus and ozone. You should eat, she said. Humans burn energy like unstable stars. Arya gave a faint, humorless smile. I'd rather burn out than dim down. Dreen set the tray on the console. Our barrier holds for now. But the outer layers are thinning. They're learning to resonate with it. Arya turned toward the observation screen. The Ironveil shimmered, rippling as if underwater. Beyond it, the shadows shifted like serpents in a jar. They're not trying to break through anymore, Arya said. They're listening. Listening? Arya nodded. When we first encountered the void near Jupiter's orbit, it reacted to energy pulses, not weapons. It learns by pattern. It mimics frequencies, adapts to behaviors. The more you fight it, the smarter it gets. Dreen frowned. Then how do you defeat something that evolves with every move? You stop thinking like prey. In the galactic spire below, panic had turned to desperation. Velsath presided over emergency councils that no longer debated, they begged. Some demanded evacuation beyond the Ironveil's reach. Others pleaded to surrender to humanity's command structure. None of them realized that the humans had no command structure left. Earth's last transmission had been a silent ping, then nothing. Dreen's voice came over comms, tense. Commander, the Council is requesting immediate access to Ironveil's control network. They claim they can improve efficiency. Arya snorted. Efficiency got them into this mess. She keyed her response. Denied. Any tampering destabilizes the Matrix. You breach it, we all die. Velsatha's reply was immediate, laced with fury. Human arrogance will doom us all. Arya muted the channel. Funny. That's what they said when we built it. Hours later, the Resolute Dawn's bridge dimmed as every console blinked red. Dreen's face appeared on screen, eyes wide. Something's inside the field. Arya's heart slammed in her chest. Impossible. Nothing can phase through the Ironveil. Dreen shook her head. Then explain this. The view shifted to an external drone feed. Floating within the barrier's luminous fog was a shape, humanoid, black as coal, its edges flickering like static. It moved with liquid grace, unbothered by physics. Velsatha's voice cracked through the open channel. You brought it in. Arya ignored him, zooming in on the entity. It wasn't attacking, it was watching. Its head tilted slightly, imitating her every motion through the camera. Dreen whispered. It's copying you. Yeah, Arya murmured. And it's not the first time. Flashback. Years ago, before the Ironveil was complete, humanity had launched Project Mirror. They'd captured a fragment of the void's energy and studied it. It behaved like a parasite made of thought, reflecting intent, learning behavior through observation. The lead scientist, Arya herself, had destroyed the lab when the entity began to replicate crew mannerisms. It wasn't feeding on life. It was feeding on identity. And now, here it was again. Arya stood from the console. Dreen, prepare frequency channel Sigma 1. The Kothari hesitated. That's the Ironveil control frequency. It could do it. The bridge hummed as a deep resonance filled the air. The Ironveil began to vibrate. The black shape turned its head sharply, like an animal hearing a familiar sound. Arya leaned forward. I know you can understand me. The shape froze. Its edges sharpened. For a moment, the darkness peeled away, and what stared back was an alien. It was a mirror. Her own reflection looked back at her, eyes cold and ancient. Then it spoke. You built the door, it said, voice layered and distorted. Now you stand behind it. Why? Arya's throat went dry. Because what's out there doesn't belong in here. The entity tilted its head. Neither do you. The comms filled with static. Velsatha's voice screamed in the background. Shut it down! Shut it down now! Arya whispered. Not yet. The entity reached out, its hand pressing against the barrier. The Ironveil flared, lines of light spidering across its surface. The temperature in the chamber spiked. Dreen shouted. Field stability dropping! Arya stayed still. Wait for it. The creature's arm flickered. For a heartbeat, it became human, then reverted. The readings stabilized. Dreen gasped. You tricked it! Arya allowed herself a small grin. No. I reminded it what it's dealing with. The silence that followed was deeper than before. The entity withdrew, dissolving back into the barrier's glow. The tremors ceased. Dreen whispered. Did it leave? Arya shook her head. It's thinking. Deciding. Velsoth appeared again on the central hollow, pale and trembling. What have you done, human? Arya turned to face him, calm once more. What humanity always does when we're trapped. Velsoth glared. And what is that? She smiled faintly. We stopped knocking. He frowned. What does that mean? It means, Arya said, stepping toward the viewport, we're not asking for permission anymore. She keyed her console. The Resolute Dawn's engines roared to life. Massive coils along the hull began to spin, bending light around them. Dreen's eyes widened. You're going through the Ironveil? Arya nodded. If it's watching, we make sure it sees what humanity does best, breaking limits. The Resolute Dawn accelerated. The Ironveil's inner surface glowed white-hot. Warnings flooded the systems, hull integrity dropping, gravity distorting. Dreen shouted. This is suicide. Maybe, Arya said. But if the universe is changing the rules, we're not sitting out the next round. The ship pierced the veil. For one breathless instant, reality folded. The Ironveil pulsed once, then stabilized. The Resolute Dawn was gone. Velsoth stared at the empty space where the ship had been. She's dead. Dreen turned, voice soft but certain. No. She's out there. And if she's out there, she's not done. Far beyond the barrier, in the realm where light no longer obeyed, a human heartbeat echoed in the dark. Arya opened her eyes to a sky without stars. The void whispered around her, ancient and curious. She smiled into the black. You wanted to know who we are. Her ship's lights flared like dawn breaking across nothingness. We're the species that knocks, because we're coming in anyway. The end. Subscribe to the Void Narratives. For more stories where humanity stares into the abyss, and the abyss blinks first. Milky Way.